Hey all, today I want to talk about the difference between body neutrality and body positivity. Obviously, body positivity came on the scene a couple years ago. It's become very popular. Most people understand what it is, or they think they understand what it is, whereas body neutrality is something that is very recent, most people really haven't heard of, and is something I talk about constantly. So I wanted today to really unpack the differences. There are some similarities, but I want you to really fully understand what these two movements are, what they mean, and how they function. Cool. So let's start with body positivity. Most people think they understand what body positivity is, but a lot of times people are missing the roots of where it came from and how it sort of started and intended to function. So body positivity is actually a social and political movement, and it's based in the fat activism, the fat acceptance movement, started by some activists in the 60s, that was really fighting for equality for people in fat bodies, fighting against the marginalization of and discrimination toward people in fat bodies. The body positivity movement kind of took over and became popular about a decade ago. It took over that same space, but it really is fighting for equality for people in all kinds of marginalized bodies. So body positivity is really designed to fight for equal rights, equal medical care, equal access, equal representation of people in marginalized bodies. That's it. That's all it was designed to do, is to push forward progress and equality for people who are in bodies that are typically marginalized and discriminated against, which of course includes people in fat bodies, but also has a much broader scope. Due to the nature of the concept itself and the way that pop culture moves and the internet functions and social media functions, body positivity has completely been taken over and sort of commandeered into a space that I would call like the self-love movement. Now, this means that at this point, most people think body positivity is about loving how you look or loving your body or feeling very positively towards your own individual body. Now, obviously, I am very supportive of anybody who wants to and is able to feel positively about their body. That's great. But that is not what the body positivity movement was designed for. The movement itself was social and political, and it was fighting for equality and justice. And feeling positively about your own body, also good, but completely different. And I think this does a huge disservice to the social justice element of the movement when we start thinking about it as individuals loving themselves, in part because you can absolutely fight for justice and still not like your body, still not like how you look. You might even hate your body and how you look and fight for the equal rights of people in marginalized bodies. So for a lot of people at this point, it feels like, oh, I can't do body positivity because I don't like my body. I feel too negatively towards my own individual body. That means that we now have all these people focused on themselves and not focusing on the social justice movement that this body positivity was intended to be and where its roots came from. So I am a huge fan of the political movement of body positivity. I absolutely believe every single one of us should be fighting for body positivity because we should be fighting for the equal rights, access, representation, and dignity of people in marginalized bodies. We should be fighting systems of oppression that discriminate and marginalize people in different bodies. That is super important, but it is not how it's colloquially used at this point to mean loving yourself, loving your body, liking how you look. Completely different, and important that we separate those two things. What about body neutrality? Body neutrality is a relationship that an individual has to their own body in which they're able to observe their body neutrally and without attaching to stories about what their body means, about having that relate to their worthiness in any way or to their moral character in any way. And they're really able to recognize that who they are as a person has nothing to do with how they look. So there is no attachment to the way that they look on any given day. And this is an individual relationship with one person's body. This is not a political and social movement. This is what most people in sort of the self-love space are looking for, which is how to deal with your relationship with your own body. But instead of trying to feel positively about it, body neutrality says you simply don't need to have an opinion on it. You don't have to have an opinion on how you look. You are actually able to, in the space of body neutrality, look at yourself very neutrally and say, that is how I look today. And that doesn't mean anything. There is no story about that. That doesn't determine anything about what I deserve, who I am. It doesn't mean anything at all. In my work, I often sum up body neutrality as saying that body neutrality is recognizing that how you look is the least interesting and least important thing about you. And sometimes people will get on me about this. They'll be like, but I think how I look is so interesting. Bodies are so cool. And I want to just absolutely agree with you there. Yes, bodies are so cool. Yes, you can absolutely enjoy how you look if that's available to you. But the thing is, you as a person are always going to be so much more interesting. Who you are inside is always going to be so much more important than how you look, because that's really who you are. And so when I say how you look is the least interesting and important thing about you, I mean because who you are as a person inside is exponentially more interesting and important, not because bodies themselves aren't cool or interesting or important. So this is about having a neutral relationship with how you look, because you have such a fulfilling, whole, and positive relationship with who you are as a person instead. That way, how you look is just, yeah, it is cool. It's totally cool. If you want to get into that, great. If you find bodies interesting, awesome. I sure do. But you don't identify with your body or your appearance. You don't let that determine how you feel about yourself, because it's not a relevant factor to who you are as a person, because that's all about who you are on the inside. It's worth noting here that we were all born body neutral. Like, curiosity and wonder at your body, you can watch a toddler have curiosity and wonder, can still be body neutral, because they're not attaching a story about what it means about them to have the body that they're looking at. They don't go, oh, this tummy, this means something about me. They just go, ha, look, a tummy, it's cool. So everybody is born body neutral. The body neutrality movement that I'm a part of and the work that I do with my clients towards body neutrality is all about reclaiming that view in which your body can just be your body. It doesn't matter. How you look is just how you look. It's not important, because who you are is so much more important. And body neutrality is really about getting to the truth. And this is something I sometimes compare to the mindfulness movement, that really practicing mindfulness is about being here now, in the moment, right now. People who have anxiety, or they think about the future, or they ruminate about the past, it's really powerful to just ground yourself in the now moment. Usually the things that we're most stressed and uncomfortable about aren't actually happening in the now moment. They're usually happening in the future or in the past. So body neutrality is kind of like that. It's about grounding yourself in the truth of this moment, instead of allowing yourself to spin off into the stories about what you believe certain bodies and shapes and sizes and appearances mean about people, about what you deserve, about moral character, about goodness or badness. So body neutrality is about stripping away all the lies, all the conditioning we've learned about who is worthy of what, who deserves what you have to do if you're a man or a woman, what you have to do if you're tall or you're short or you're fat or you're thin or whatever, what you have to do to attract a partner. All those rules, all those lies, we set aside in body neutrality, and we just deal with the truth. And the truth is, this is your body right now. Maybe the truth is you're feeling really uncomfortable right now. Maybe the truth is you're feeling really sad. Underneath your body image issues might just be feelings that you don't want to deal with right now. That's the truth. We strip away all that superficial stuff that the brain does to protect us and distract us and keep us going in a million different directions, and we get to the truth underneath. I sometimes call it just truth hunting. Like, that is what we are doing in the process of body neutrality. What's truer than the fact that your thighs are fat? Probably the fact that you feel insecure about your body. Cool. What's truer than the fact that you feel insecure about your body? The fact that maybe you wish you got more attention, or you're lonely, or you feel like you don't belong anywhere. Great, what's truer than that? This is the deep dive process required to get to body neutrality, because you have to strip away all of that stuff you've learned that just isn't true and causes us to hate ourselves and fixate so intensely on how we look. So how are these two movements similar? Obviously, they both have to do with bodies. They're both sort of generally intended to make people feel better in their bodies and to fight body image issues. Although, if we're really looking at the social and political roots of body positivity, that is not exactly designed to make people feel better in their bodies or to fight body image issues. Only the kind of commandeered popular version of it is intended for that. The social justice movement, again, was only intended to fight for equality and justice for people in marginalized bodies. And how are these movements different? A bunch of really important ways. One, body positivity is a social and political movement, whereas body neutrality is a personal approach to an individual's body image. Two, body positivity, the way that it is currently used to mean feeling positively about your own body, feels impossible for so many people. It makes people feel shamed that they're not able to love themselves. It makes people feel like failures because it makes them feel like, oh, I should like how I look. I should be more feminist and body positive. I should be able to just get over my body image issues. I'm failing. So body positivity as a sort of self-love thing tends to make people feel more shame and worse about themselves, whereas body neutrality does exactly the opposite. Body neutrality says you really can't fail, it's just a body. Like, you don't have to attach a story to it, but it makes sense that you do. We're here to get to the root of why that is, unpack that story, and strip it away. Body neutrality is accessible for so many people that body positivity, meaning self-love or loving the body, is never going to be. 3, body positivity still centers a person's worthiness and value and identity on how they look, whereas body neutrality does not. So unfortunately, women and femmes especially are objectified so much in our culture. Their value, their worth on earth is determined so much by how they look. And are they beautiful? Are they sexy? Are they attractive? And so body positivity says, everybody is attractive. Every woman is beautiful. Everyone should feel sexy and hot and pretty. And that's a really nice idea, except that it still centers how we look as our worth and what should give us confidence and what offers value to the world from who we are. And it centers our identity in that way. And I am opposed to that vehemently because we need to be able to separate ourselves and not be given this message anymore that how we look determines how we should feel about ourselves. So body positivity often accidentally reinforces the message that how you look is important. It is an important part of who you are. It is an important part of your worth, and that you just need to feel beautiful, and that everybody is beautiful, and that is still, to me, sort of objectifying and not great for most people who are trying to heal their body image issues. Whereas body neutrality doesn't do that. Body neutrality says, yeah, it doesn't matter if you're beautiful. It just doesn't matter, because it doesn't. It doesn't matter if you're attractive. That's not an important thing about who you are. It doesn't matter if you're hot or sexy. Maybe you feel hot and sexy. It's completely subjective. What is hot and sexy? Anybody can or can't feel that or be that. But what we're really talking about is the fact that that is not an important component of who you are in body neutrality. You get to be a whole, complete person who also happens to look a certain way, as opposed to getting to be someone who looks a certain way who also happens to be a person. Lastly, we've got the fact that everybody can pursue political and social justice for other people in marginalized bodies, or for yourself if you happen to live in a marginalized body, and everyone should. If we're looking at the root of body positivity as a social justice movement, everybody can participate in that. But most people are not going to be able to feel positively towards their bodies today, maybe ever, because it's just so impossible, so far off, so misaligned with how they feel in their bodies or towards their bodies today. So yes, everybody can be an advocate and an activist, and they should, but not everybody can feel good about how they look or feel good about their bodies. Whereas body neutrality, again, not a social justice movement, but everybody can access neutrality in their own bodies. Everybody can strip away these stories and identify themselves as whole human people first. And how they look does not have to be relevant. No matter how you look, in any shape or size of body, you can access neutrality. Obviously, I have a preference. I teach body neutrality. This is a big part of my work. So clearly you can see how I have unpacked these two things, and I'm certainly veering towards which one I think is better for most people. But that said, I hold space for the fact that all of these different interpretations have a place. Everybody is drawn to this in a different way. It's all valid and good. I hope that this unpacked at least a little bit about like what these two movements are and how they're different, so that you can better understand them as you move through the world and explore your own body image. And that is it. Thanks for watching. If you guys have any more questions about the differences between these things, or the nuance there, or the way that it gets used, I love talking about this stuff. So please leave me a comment and we'll discuss there. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.